And so we're going to go ahead and get started. I don't think that this will take the full 90 minutes, just as a heads up. I wanted to give us the 90 minutes so that we didn't feel like our discussion was rushed, but we should be just fine, probably finishing inside of an hour. So I feel pretty positive about that. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you to everyone who registered and is here with us today. My name is Simone Cordery-Cotter. I am a climate analyst and the Sierra Climate Adaptation and Mitigation Partnership Manager for Sierra Business Council. For those of you that don't know, Sierra Camp is a membership organization, and we activate the Sierra Nevada region on climate change. So running a program that reduces greenhouse gas emissions, running a learning series that helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions and promote energy efficiency among local governments is a pretty nice fit for us. So that is why, part of the reason why we're hosting this learning series. So just to kind of frame the learning series, I want to frame it in terms of what we're hoping that everyone gets out of it here. So the learning series is really targeted toward ensuring that whatever challenges or successes you as a local government are having, you have a forum to share them. So this is really about you, our attendees, and what you want to get out of this. We have hosted one other peer group just like this. It was on climate adaptation planning. We had about 6 participants in that group, and we met quarterly, and we were able to see a number of adaptation and climate action plans move through the process as those jurisdictions were able to talk to us more. So I'm looking forward to hearing about everybody's energy planning projects and what you're experiencing along that front. So please go ahead and think about that as I finish the rest of my introduction. Like I said, the goal is to provide a forum for peer learning and to share your successes and challenges and learn more about common issues. So this first meeting is very discussion based, and it's about you and learning about what kind of some of your challenges are, or what some of your successes look like. In the next 3 meetings, which will be calendared after today, in the next 3 meetings, we will have speakers for about 30 to 40 minutes. And then the remainder of the session will be discussion focused as well. So that's what we've got going on. If anybody has any questions, feel free to either shoot me a chat if you're having any technical difficulties, or if anything else is going on, just feel free to shoot me a message in the chat. And you can do that as well. You can do it to just me, the panelist, if you don't want everyone else to see what you're writing. So feel free to raise your hand if there are any issues going on. We're going to go ahead and start with introductions. I'm just going to go ahead and go down this participant list that I have on my screen. Brian, if you don't mind, I'm going to pick on you first. Please introduce yourself. This is for everyone. Please introduce yourself, your agency, what position you have with them, your energy planning efforts and how those are going, whether you're in the planning stage, implementation stage, and what energy efficiency goals your organization has set. Brian, I'll go ahead and let you take it away.
Sure. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks. I wasn't sure if I was connected. Yes, I'm Brian Foss. I'm the planning director with Nevada County. And we are at the implementation stage of our energy action plan. And we've had a number of working group meetings with members of the public and a few internal meetings regarding some of our county facilities. We've been working with Justine and Carissa since around December, well, Justine earlier than that, to prepare our energy action plan. But we've been implementing it for a few months now and have gotten a little momentum with the working group. They've split up into a couple of groups for educational and outreach programs in order to get some information out that's in our energy action plan. And we're kind of in the beginning stages of circling back to see what type of projects or programs can be implemented at the county level We have done a few things over the last couple of years, including installing solar to power our many of our county facilities. We've installed some charging stations at our county buildings and have purchased some electric vehicles. We're not completely electric right now, but we're moving towards being more electric vehicle rather than gas powered. So I don't want to take too much time, but that's kind of generally an overview of where we're at.
That's great. Thanks for sharing, Brian. As far as your, I assume that the electric vehicles that you're purchasing are for Nevada County's fleet. Is that correct?
Right, it is correct.
Okay.
And we
do
are
you feel
also
comfortable? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It's for fleet vehicles for county employees, but we're also, I think, in the process of purchasing 4 electric transit vehicles as well.
Okay.
For bus services.
Okay. What percentage of your fleet is electric right now?
I don't have all the numbers. It's a small percentage. If we got the 4 buses, we have 12 total. So that would be 33%. Our fleet is probably a much smaller number, around probably 5%.
Gotcha. Okay. And have you guys been having any success with grant applications for those, or how, can I ask how you're structuring your funding for those?
You can ask. I don't know that I have all the answers. I was in
Okay.
a meeting last week, and we're partnering, looking to some grants through Caltrans and state grants, but I don't know the name of it.
Okay.
Our transit manager is working on those, but I know they're in process.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing, Brian. Jessica, do you mind if I put you on the spot and ask you to go next?
Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. I'm Jessica Carey. I work with Mariposa County as an assistant planner. I would say our energy efficiency planning is at the ground zero stage.
Okay.
I just had somebody come down from upstairs from the Board of Supervisors kind of discuss with me before the meeting. Our CAO is looking for grant funding for upgrades in our county buildings for energy efficient upgrades. We are also looking into pre-approved energy building for residents. We were just awarded the SALC grant as well as the TerraCount grant, which will be kicking off in April, and that'll give us data on where we're at with greenhouse gas emission levels throughout the county, and that's really all I have to share for Mariposa County at this moment.
Gotcha. Okay. So Jessica, your GHG inventory will start this spring. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're supposed to be kicking it off April 2020.
Okay. And then do you guys have a GHG inventory from years past? Is this?
We do not.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then is the SALC is that a strategic?
It's a sustainable ag land conservation program, which should dovetail well with the TerraCount grant. At least that's what we are planning.
Gotcha. Okay. Sounds good. And so you're anticipating that those grants will pay for your inventory work?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then, okay, so SALC and TerraCount. Okay, great. And then have you started looking into, who's your utility down there, Jessica?
As far as what? Like we have PG&E, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. You guys are in PG&E territory?
Yeah, we only have PG&E.
Oh, only PG&E. Okay. And you guys don't have a municipal energy district, do you?
No.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think we could definitely talk offline more a little bit about some of the opportunities for building upgrades, especially through PG&E.
Great.
And I think we're lucky we've got Carrie Senoff and Justine Quealy, who are our other two staff members that tend to work on these PG&E things a fair amount. So I'm glad that they're hearing this, and then we can probably touch base after this and then have a little bit more of a concentrated discussion about how to help you guys with that.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So as far as ground, so I see you've got, you said ground zero for your planning, which is fine. You've got to start somewhere. We've got building upgrades and your GHG inventory in the works. And then are you anticipating that that will inform an energy action plan or a climate action plan, or where do you think that data will go?
Yeah, so Mariposa County does have, and I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called off the top of my head, and I believe it's from a number of years past, not nearly as, it's not to the standard that we would probably look to now.
Okay.
I guess we would be trying to build, and let me, before I speak, like look into that a little bit more.
For sure.
But
I think you guys might have an energy action plan. If memory serves, maybe Carrie or Justine can weigh in and correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure there might be a past energy action plan for you guys.
yeah, we do have.
Yes,
But I don't know what the scope
we
looks
do
like.
have one that was done.
Oh,
for
thank you,
them.
Carrie. Carrie, do you know the year on that?
If why don't you guys carry on the conversation?
we do. We
I'll
have
look it up.
Energy action plan.
Okay.
Yep, energy action plan.
Okay, great. And I'm sorry, did you say the year on that, Carrie?
If you want to continue talking, I'll pull it up and look at the year.
Oh, okay.
We do. Yeah, it is from you guys.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I think it was from 2010. I think it's not. I don't think it's that.
2015.
Oh, really? 2016? Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Okay, great. All right.
This is Justine. I just want to also add that that would have included a greenhouse gas inventory, a baseline, probably for, I don't know exactly what the year was, but a few years prior.
So maybe for 2014?
Maybe, yeah. We will look into that and circle back around with you, Jessica, because it sounds like you might not be at ground zero, but you might be at ground one and then updating, which is great. This is Justine, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to just jump in, but I wanted to make sure you knew you had that in your back pocket.
Yeah, I did not.
Cool.
Yep, can't develop an energy action plan without some kind of inventory, so you do have some baseline to work with.
Yeah, I'm seeing that in this now, so yeah, well, we can circle back.
Great.
Great.
Cool. All righty. Let's see. Krista. Krista, if you want, I think Krista is gonna chat her updates to us. I love technology. Krista, if you want to go ahead and start. Oh, there it is. She's already got it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read Krista's chat to everyone. This is also for the benefit of the folks who are having this, are getting this recorded. Hi, I'm Krista Russell. Krista, I'm so sorry if I murdered your last name. And I'm a planner at Amador County. Currently, we have an adopted energy action plan, which provides some incentives for residents and distributes various information on how to conserve energy and reduce impacts and such. Currently, we are just looking at updating our informational materials and still continuing to inform the residents of the options available through PG&E primarily. Okay, so it sounds like PG&E, we are, and Krista also adds, we are going to be participating at Amador Earth Day 2020, I believe. Okay, sounds good. So, all right, so Amador is updating informational materials and informing residents of the options available through PG&E. Krista, I have two questions for you. One is some around the incentives, and if you are seeing traction in the incentives that you're offering for your residents. So I'm curious to know what kind of traction you guys are seeing on that front, and what kind of adoption rate you're seeing on that. And Krista also adds, we are in the process of developing a lighting regulations ordinance on Planning Commission next month. And then Krista, my follow-up to that lighting regulations ordinance is that a dark sky ordinance, or is that a lighting technology ordinance in which residents need to use certain lighting technologies like LED? Dark sky mostly. Okay, sounds good. All right, so dark sky mostly. Cool. And then, yeah, I would still be curious to know about the, but it indirectly, the dark sky, the lighting regulations will indirectly encourage LED. Excellent. Okay, that's fantastic. I am also curious to know what those adoption rates are looking like for your incentives for your residents, and if you feel like those are gaining traction. That is also something that if you'd be willing to share more detail on, either on this call or at a later point, it would probably be something that I think other jurisdictions would get a lot of value out of looking at. Krista responds, incentives. I'm not the most informed. I know there are some HVAC conversions and stoves, and I'm assuming that's wood stoves. Am I correct? Aimed at air quality? A trade-in. Okay. All right. And then Krista, feel free to keep typing. Oh, it looks like the incentives might be out of budget. Okay. Krista, feel free to keep, okay, so we're out of budget for the wood stove trade-in, but it looks like the HVAC conversions are still going strong. Okay. Yeah, I think the wood stove trade-in is a statewide program that we see a number of jurisdictions in the Sierra able to take advantage of. It improves air quality. I can definitely send out more information on that as well after this call, if that's something that the group would be interested in. But I think Krista's right. I think that that program has been relatively well subscribed to, especially in Plumas and Sierra County. So I'll keep an eye on that program and see if another round of funding comes through for that. And then Krista also wanted to add that they have streamlined solars. There is a large interest in solar conversions, especially with the battery packs with the PG&E shutoffs. There is, on that note, there's an increasing number of storage programs that are incentivizing and allowing grants for more compact storage options. What I will do is I will go ahead and track some of those down, and if the group is interested in seeing what some of those options look like and what stage those programs are in, I can definitely share that out as well. So unless somebody doesn't want extra stuff in their inbox. So just let me know, and feel free to either voice that or shoot me a chat. All right, okay, so we got Brian, Jessica, Krista. I have a couple phone numbers here that I don't have names associated with. Brian, I think one of them is you. But if somebody with the phone number ending in 5151 wants to chime in and let us know who they are.
That was me, Jessica.
Oh, hi, Jessica. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So my computer did not have a microphone, so I just called
gotcha. No worries.
Okay.
Yeah. I think in retrospect, I think we totally could have made this a phone call, but I was just excited to set up a webinar. So I appreciate everyone indulging me. And then I have another phone number ending in 1256. Is that somebody who has not had a chance to talk yet?
I think that's me.
Oh, that's Brian.
That's Brian.
Okay,
Yeah.
Never mind. Phone number ending in 0676.
That's Carrie Sinoff.
Oh, there's Carrie. All right. And
Buddy
then,
next door.
Okay, and then a phone number ending in 4800. That looks like Sierra Business Council's number. I'm gonna guess that's Justine.
That's Justine, yes.
All right. Okay. So it looks like we've gotten updates from everybody. That's fantastic. Okay. All right. Okay. So I appreciate everybody's updates. It's actually, it's really helpful for us to know where everyone is at in terms of their planning process and how everything is going. One thing that I want to put to the group is I am, kind of knowing we've actually got a really interesting sort of spectrum of where everyone is in terms of their energy planning. And I am curious to know more about what kind of resources can help you as staff be more effective in your planning, and how through this space we can facilitate access to those resources. So I'm going to go ahead and make a note on some of the funding options and some of the program funding that I've already noted, that I've already brought up. But if anybody has anything additional, I do want to hear about that.
We're always interested in funding opportunities. I know we have a list of potential programs and resources in the back of our energy action plan that Justine points out to us all the time. But if there's anything new, you know, those battery pack, we're interested in that. And as I talked with earlier about the transit, I know we were looking at Caltrans and maybe even some federal programs, but if there were PG&E programs, we'd be interested in those as well.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Brian, this is Carrie Sinoff. I'm getting an echo, but there will be some PG&E incentive for battery packs. It's not incentives, it's rebates. It's primarily for income limited residential people. However, if you live in a high risk fire area, then you may be able to apply for some of these backup battery packs that basically will cover almost the entire cost of the batteries and installation. So that is supposed to start in April, so we can do a little bit of checking into that and see how that will apply to Nevada County and some of the other counties that are in the PSPS areas with high fire risk designation.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Do you know if there's any, more industrial or commercial type battery pack for, county facilities or even some of our larger businesses?
I know that do you mean with regard to incentive or rebates, or just in general batteries that could?
No,
I don't know of other incentives or rebates, but there's lots of opportunities for, if you're willing to take on some financing just through different ESCOs and things like that. There's definitely opportunities to get set up that basically they tie in the battery backup to different rates so that it's not just there for PSPS, but it's tying into when your rates are at the highest, per cents per, kWh, and it can offset that. And so you can get those pretty good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Is everyone on this call relatively familiar with what an ESCO is and how they work? I was just thinking that we have some really good ESCO partners that would it might be really educational if they could come in and talk about how some of their programs are set up. Is that something that people feel like would be redundant, or that might be valuable?
I'm not that familiar with it, so I think it would be valuable to me.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Jessica, you'd like to know more?
This is Carrie again. That it's definitely, as Simone said, we have several ESCO companies we work with right out of Sacramento, and they generally could, attend some of the city council or board of supervisors meeting and try to get buy-in that way to come in and present. But we can at any time facilitate a meeting, a private meeting with just a few people from each jurisdiction, and have a question and answer session. I can set that up very easily.
Cool. Thanks, Carrie.
I think it would be beneficial for us if our facilities people would be involved. They may be more aware than I am, but if they're not, I'd like to bring in Justin Drinkwater and Steve Monahan.
Great, we can talk about that after the phone call.
Okay, great.
righty. Jessica, we could definitely extend the same offer to you as well. But I'm just thinking in terms of a pretty like broad content offering. I think like sort of like ESCO 101, ESCO walkthrough might be pretty valuable as well. So yeah, we can definitely talk about making that available in one of our 3 meetings that is to come. Did anybody have anything else to add on any particular topics that they would find particularly valuable? And I can also, the rest of my plan is to cover the other 2 topics that we've had proposed. Hearing crickets. All righty. So another topic that I kind of want to gut check with the folks on the phone. We were planning on doing a quick overview of some upcoming energy policy changes and utility legislation, plus just an overview of some planning and code requirements that are rapid, that are changing. It seems like all the time at the state level. If that is same question I'd actually like to extend to the group. Does that feel like it would be valuable or redundant?
It'd be, if no one else is weighing in, it'd be valuable to Nevada County, I believe.
Cool. Thank you, Brian. Alrighty. Okay, and then another topic that we were planning on having a guest speaker on, actually Carissa Bradley, whom you know, Brian, was going to be our guest speaker on this. We plan on having a guest speaker on microgrids and microgrids for local governments. So Sierra Business Council and Sierra Camp recently published a white paper on microgrids for local governments and communities. And I would think that it would be really, Carissa is already giving a presentation at a state level working group on that white paper, and I think it would be highly valuable. My hope is that this group would find it interesting to learn more about that. So we're planning on having that as one of our scheduled curriculum days. Any reaction to that whatsoever?
Sounds good. I look forward
Cool.
to that.
Cool. Thanks, Brian. Okay, so I do just want to open up the floor for about 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm curious to know from everybody on the call, what do you see as some key barriers to your energy planning? And I'm curious, and mostly because I want to ensure that this group is targeted at overcoming some of those barriers and making sure that we are giving you guys what you need. So I'll just, whoever feels like talking, I am all ears. And I'm going to go ahead and mute myself because I've been talking a lot.
What was the middle part of your question? It kind of cut out. I understood the barriers to achieving. I think you said in particular, and then that's where you cut out for me.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I just wanted to ensure that this group is targeted toward helping everyone here overcome their barriers or providing resources to do so. Understanding that staff time and funding is always a barrier, and we will do our best to address those.
I'll jump in. I think for us, just kind of, it's a little bit of a nebulous topic, and it's a little bit hard to kind of find some focus on, talking about, is it water efficiency, is it energy, is it electric vehicles? So trying to pick a focus area, because there's so many different possibilities and different interest groups and different expertises, and so trying to focus it down, and I guess hearing some examples or success stories from other jurisdictions would be helpful, and trying to not recreate the wheel if someone else has already put forth some efforts that we could copy, quite frankly.
That sounds great. Okay, well, that's good to know. I think, yeah, just hearing you say that, I definitely have some ideas about people that we can put on the call and have and talk more about some of their successes. Jessica, I saw you left in the chat funding, which of course we'll do our best to address as well, and then being aware of what resources are available, and then implementation. Jessica, are you able to elaborate a little bit more on implementation? I'm specifically thinking about municipal energy efficiency versus community energy efficiency, being aware that, the county can control a certain level of your energy efficiency, but there's only so much that you can do to control the energy efficiency of your community members. Maybe you can expand on that a little bit more for me.
Yeah, so really, we get a lot of public pushback with some of these ideas that come through to the board. That, and also staff time. I'm kind of new to all of this grant funding thing, so I haven't seen a lot of it through to the end. But in some of the other projects that I've seen, we've hired consultants to kind of iron out the plans and get ideas through the planning phases to the implementation portion of it. Really, I feel like I'm kind of blindsided by this meeting right now because I didn't know what to expect, and I'm sorry. So I will do more homework, but I am here for ideas and for you guys to kind of spark, some ways to get to these energy efficient places that are coming very rapidly at us.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's really helpful to know, and that's really helpful to know that's what you want to get out of the group. Krista, I saw you just left us a chat. We're currently discussing what you might see as a couple barriers to your energy efficiency goals, and how this group can help overcome them. And Jessica, to your point, you don't sound blindsided at all, for what it's worth. I think it's this is definitely a daunting process, and we've helped a number of jurisdictions here at Sierra Business Council. We've helped a number of them kind of move through that process, and I want to continue to offer us as a resource if if you guys are interested in hiring consultants, but for example, you need help putting together a scope of work for some of the projects that you're looking at, or if you need just like a good starting point, just let us know, and we're definitely here as a resource to help you out with that. So yeah, please don't hesitate to reach out if that's something that could be helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And I also, and I think the ideas and the success stories are a really great place to start as well. And we definitely have a couple partners that we've worked with that can speak to some of their successful energy implementation, and can cover everything from how to get a lot of LED lights in porches, and cover that, to implementing a community level microgrid. So we will definitely dig deep on this, and we want to make sure that the content is really valuable. And I do want to thank those of you who are here and kind of helping spark this. I appreciate it. So Krista left a note. She said, our major roadblocks, I would say, is a general resistance to any regulation. We get tremendous backlash whenever it comes to anything, which may, quote, Tell people what they can do with their own property, end quote. Okay, that is, yeah. And then Krista adds, for this reason, incentives and education are our main focuses. Yes, so Krista, you're not alone in that, which I hope helps. We see that a lot, especially in more rural communities, especially up and down the Sierra Nevada. That's not an uncommon, yeah, foothills, there you go. Not an uncommon issue. Justine, if you don't mind, I'd kind of like to put you on the spot to address some of those ideas around regulation. Do you have any thoughts, or have we seen any successes in, I'm thinking particularly of Nevada City with regard to putting in, reach codes, regulations around that would encourage and essentially mandate energy efficiency efforts?
I can definitely speak to that. I think, yeah, like you said, Krista, you're not alone. That's a common theme. And a lot of times it's not necessarily a roadblock that should stop the jurisdiction from, continuing to push, especially energy efficiency forward. It's just reframing the problem and the solutions that you have to offer. So one of the biggest things that I'm sure you have all seen this happen in your lifetime anyway, money talks. So when you're saying, we have ways for you to save money on your energy bill by doing X, Y, and Z, that lands so differently than when you say, okay, we're going to do a regulation or some sort of, new ordinance that people feel forced by. So when it's their choice, they are empowered, sorry for the pun, to increase their energy efficiency and look for, projects that enhance their own health and wealth in their house or their business. And so that is definitely a path to, quite honestly, achieving the same greenhouse gas reductions and increasing energy efficiency, but a totally different way of approaching it. And I think that is probably the number one successful way to get around that discussion. And I think people also don't want to be stuck. And so sometimes when you say the word regulation or ordinance, it sounds like it's very restrictive instead of framing it like an opportunity to save money, to save energy, to participate in whatever the different goals and strategies are of that particular jurisdiction. And also, I think when people realize that there is money on the table from, let's say it's a state program, and it's not being distributed very evenly across the state because people in rural areas don't know about it or aren't quite tuned into the different kind of outlets that jurisdictions are using to get the word out, overcoming those, not necessarily have to do something through a regulation or an ordinance, but do it through education and outreach and making sure people understand that that money is available and we deserve to utilize it as much as the person, in the valley or in the bay. So I think we were talking about the stove program before. That's a good example of it being very appropriate and very relevant to foothill community members. And that money just sitting there is, we don't want that to happen. So kind of getting people excited about it and letting them know it's available and getting the word out and getting creative about, what resources and outlets are people listening to and using that to reach them. I think that is definitely a successful way to get more participation in the whole energy efficiency field. Mm-hmm. So those are my my first thoughts, my first 2 cents, but it's hard because there are things that do need to come in the form of regulations and ordinances and mandates, and navigating through that is not easy, but there are ways to do it. And we have here at SBC, we have a lot of experience navigating through that and working with different jurisdictions. And so we could probably, as Simone goes forward with this series, incorporate a little bit more of best practices and ideas on that particular barrier and challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just thinking, Krista, we saw an interesting example recently here in the town of Truckee. there was just the hint of a whisper of our general plan action committee, the climate subcommittee, talking about potentially eliminating gas, and so gas stoves and gas cooking appliances within the town limits. And it was just an idea. It was just like placed on an agenda item, and that resulted in 30 people showing up to talk about how they didn't think that it was fair. It was controlling people's choices about how to heat their homes. It was imposing an unfair, unnecessary financial burden on people to retrofit their home, to pull their gas stove out, etc. There was a lot of protest against it. Sorry, Chris, why was there an interest in that? What were they? Oh, they wanted to go fully electric. So no gas, just fully electric within the town limits. And it wasn't even, that idea was being proposed as an element that could very possibly go in a list of recommendations for part of a plan. So this was not a city council meeting. It was not anything that had, any regulatory impact. So that was actually a really interesting case study, because we could kind of look at that afterward and say, how could this have been better handled? And one thing that emerged was if the town was willing to talk to the Contractors Association and get the Contractors Association to commit to not installing gas in any new construction, which in town of Truckee, I think is like 70 buildings a year or something. It's not massive. If they could commit to upholding that and being champions and advocates for that, then they found this sort of like very unlikely ally in the Contractors Association. So as far as best practices go for regulation and potentially encountering community opposition to those, and I'm sure you guys are exploring this already, so forgive me if I'm telling you something that you already know, but forming alliances with particular groups and small businesses prior to proposing those regulations and reach codes and having those conversations up front can also be very effective, we've noticed. So we've especially found success with that. It's not exactly energy efficiency, but we've especially found success with that in housing, in finding community groups. And, for example, we recently connected with a group of high school students that were going to college outside of the Tahoe Basin. There was a proposed housing project in the Tahoe Basin, and those high school students were home for the holidays, and they were actually able to come and speak in favor of the proposed housing project, saying, we grew up here, we don't live here anymore, we go to school elsewhere, and we would be very interested in moving back, but we cannot do that because of the existing price of housing. And that actually really diffused what could have been a very contentious conversation and resulted in more of a collaborative and problem-solving approach. So I think there are a couple case studies like that as well that we'd be happy to bring forward in the energy efficiency world as well. We've gone through my entire, great, yeah, Krista noted that would be nice to read about, and I agree. So I'll see what I can do about pulling some of those, pulling some of those additional resources together and featuring that in our next three series. So that about wraps up my agenda that I had for everybody. I want to just open the floor one more time. Justine and Carrie, since I have you two on the line, is there anything that I missed? Is there anything that you guys would feel valuable to discuss further?
I think this was wonderful. Simone did a great job bringing everybody together. I know we've done the energy action plans with Amador County and both Nevada County. And Jessica, I wanted to reach out to you and just see, after today, I can contact you either by email or by phone, because I would love to, and we done an energy action plan from there, but posted too. Sorry about that. But I'd be love to just review with you what our energy efficiency partner program through PG&E still has to offer, and give you a refresher on that since you're a little bit new to Mariposa County. I had reached out a couple times to voicemail and email to, who was it? Sarah Williams. And I actually hadn't heard back, but it would be great if you and I can just have a conversation. And then there's so many opportunities with the free money, basically, the PG&E Public Purpose Fund that would be available for Mariposa. And it would be great for Mariposa to take advantage of some of that. I know you put an RFP out recently for some energy reduction support, and there might be a way to kind of wrap all of this together.
Cool. Carrie, Jessica just responded in the chat and she said, "I found it!" exclamation point. But yeah, I think there's probably an opportunity for you guys to talk a little bit more. Yes, Jessica said she would appreciate that. Justine,
Okay,
did
great.
you have anything to add?
No, I think this was a great first meeting, a great way to get started. I know that you have some specific topics and speakers and presentations to cover in the coming months, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how this all pans out. But I think that just leave the door open for everyone to communicate with any of us here at SBC on any kind of energy question or project, especially if it's a question that might benefit the whole group, like the ESCO question. I think that sounds like it could be a specific conversation, but it actually might be beneficial to do it as a topic. And I think those, those kinds of ideas are welcome and really helpful for us to know what you need, and then we can be really supportive in putting the resources together and help every jurisdiction be successful with their planning process and implementation process. But yeah, thank you everyone, and thanks for including us, Simone. This has been great, and I'm looking forward to, I've worked a lot with Brian and a lot with Krista in the past, and I'm looking forward to connecting more with Jessica and the other people that are going to be on future calls and are on our list, and hopefully listening to this webinar at a later time. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Justine. All right.
I have a follow-up comment, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I just wanted to mention that, don't feel like you have to do homework prior to attending any of these peer-to-peer webinars. It's for you to take as much information as you want and provide as much as you want. It shouldn't in any way feel like a burden. It's just a way to share ideas, whatever works for you on an individual level. There shouldn't be any pressure.
Excellent. Thank you, Carrie, for adding that. Krista, I just saw your note. Krista left in the chat. She said, "I was thinking it would be super helpful to have a comprehensive list of the various different energy efficiency programs available to jurisdictions and residents we can review with respect to ones we are already enrolled in / participate in, etc., and which are new." Krista, I have two responses for you on that. One is a platform called Empower Innovation.
Simone, you're cutting out. I don't know if you can.
Oh, my internet connection is unstable.
I think
How's
should. If you don't mind starting over, at least for me, most of what you just said got cut out.
Oh, unfortunate. Okay, that's fine. I was just responding to Krista's note in the chat where she's talking about how it'd be useful to have a comprehensive list of energy efficiency programs available for jurisdictions. Krista, there's a very helpful site that we're going to do an overview of as well called Empower Innovation, and it has funding and partnership opportunities as well as implementers and programs. It's sort of like a hub, really, I would call it, for it's essentially a hub for energy efficiency and green technology. So that's one. I can send you the website, and then we're going to do a more comprehensive dive on it in this series. And then the other note is we have actually proposed doing something. We here at Sierra Business Council, we've proposed building something very similar to what you just asked about, and I hopefully will have some more information to share on that relatively soon. So, so yes, I agree with you. And please stand by on that because we might have more information coming soon. So.
And this is Justine. I'd like to add to that because I think a good starting point in the interim is the EAP appendices. I know I always point out the appendices as the most boring part of the Energy Action Plan, but there are programs that at least at the time of your Energy Action Plan adoption were live and available. And I think especially in the case of Amador, Krista, that you're asking about, some of those might be, you know, the funding might be gone, it needs to be updated. And so that's probably another good way to answer your question too, is to just go through the list that we did develop back in 2015 and update it for 2020 and add new things to it and maybe make it something that is ready to go PDF that you could add to your website or whatever. I'm just kind of spitballing, but using the work that we already did as a starting point, I think would be a good way to get that ball rolling and then enhance it with like Empower Innovation that Simone brought up, and then other kind of web tool ideas that we have cooking. So I definitely encourage everyone to let me know if you look at those and you have any questions. I'm happy to help kind of navigate through the EAP resources in the appendices.
Thank you, Justine. Krista also says thank you. She noted she will definitely re-educate herself with her EAP. Krista said, I admit I haven't been as diligent as I should have been studying it, which Krista, I don't think you're alone. So don't worry about it. That's what we're here
don't worry
for.
about it. And that's exactly, that's totally what we're here for.
Yeah.
So happy to help you with that, Krista. And also, I know that the EAP can seem kind of daunting and overwhelming, especially to the public as a document to look through. So if, you know, as we go forward with this process and you guys get other ideas, if there's a way we can kind of break down some of those programs into a more digestible format, I think that would be probably helpful too.
Great. Thank you, Justine. Into infographics. All right, Krista's into infographics. We can make that happen.
Yay, me too.
All right. All right. So I'm gonna consider it a personal triumph that I've managed to end our webinar 34 minutes early. I want to ensure that everybody got to cover what they wanted to. You guys have given us a lot to work on. So next steps, just so everyone knows, I am going to go ahead and get the next 3 meetings on the calendar. That might be, some of those dates might be dependent on when we can get some of our presenters in. So I would ask that you guys give me until the end of next week to get those on the calendar and get our presenters locked in for those. And we have a lot to cover and I want to cover it all. So I'm going to try to think a little more critically about how we're going to make that curriculum as punchy and helpful as possible. So please hold for that, and please look for an email from me before the end of next week that'll have those subsequent dates on it, and we'll have registration links. Depending on the topic, if you look at the topic and if it's not something that you're going to sit and watch or listen to for an hour and a half, I don't take it personally. I would highly encourage everyone to register anyway, because when you register, even if you don't attend, you get the recording sent to you. So please do consider doing that if you have the capacity, and let us know if we can help in any way. So yeah, I think that's it. If anything comes up in the interim, if you have a sudden bolt of inspiration about your energy efficiency planning and another topic that we can cover that would be very helpful for you, or if you have a winner of a day, or if you have a particular challenge that you've encountered, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we can definitely see what we can do to assist with that. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to sit on this with me today. I really appreciate it, and please be on the lookout for more information on the next 3 calls coming out before the end of next week. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off and end the meeting. That means that everyone will get kicked out. So once again, thanks for your time today, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Bye, everybody.